Hey, it's me again, Kevin Scott, and in today's video, we're going to talk about focusing on the higher purpose. So without further ado, great day to you. All right, so when we having confrontations or some kind of conflict with the other co-parent, sometimes we just want to get our way and get the conversation over with. And that's not always right, because you're not going to win every conversation. You're not going to win every conflict. You're not going to win in every situation. In the overall scheme of things, think about how each decision that you make, each conflict you get into, each heated conversation that you get into, how will this impact your children? You may not get your way every time. You may not get your way when you think you are right. But still, if you remove the emotion from some of those conversations with your ex and focus on the higher purpose, and that's to make sure that the children come first, your conversations can be point blank, can be cut and be emotionless, and sometimes it needs to be that way. First, you need to, if you think about the children, your conversations will change. And you can fight hard for things that are important to you, but you need to make sure that they are for the good of the children at the end of the day.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
All right, so after I shot this video, I started thinking about something. How could I make this message relate to somebody out there who may be going through something right now? And I came up with this. When you start going through these conversations, or you start having these arguments with the other co-parent, and you think that conversation or that argument is worth the fight, I want you to think about this. If your child was in front of you when you did that, would you still have that fight? And at the end of the day, what is that fight about? Is it worth the battle or the fight that you're about to get into? Yeah, you might be right, and the other parent might be wrong. But the next day, you're still going to be parents. Matter of fact, the next second, you're still parents to the kids. So what is the fight about? Is it something that person did that you just can't forgive? Or is it something that you remember, you dragging up from your past, and you bringing it into the future, which is not going to resolve anything that's going on right now? The reason you're not together has already been resolved. You've got a divorce, you're not together, you've broken up. So why would you be bringing that into a conversation or argument? Maybe you don't like the way that person's raising the child when they're with them. And maybe that person's called you out on something you're doing right now. And so you get into the defensive mode and you just go back and forth. Sooner or later, you're going to have to be the bigger person and just say, hey, I understand we're getting a heated argument here. I might be wrong, but let's agree to disagree, and let's take a step back from this. Because getting into these fights and these arguments, it's about you and the other person. It's not about the child. You might think it's about the child. You might have that child's best interest at heart, but you still need to have a conversation with the other person. Because two people arguing and yelling back and forth at each other, you don't hear each other. So you might as well take a step back, pause, and reflect on what you're about to do before you react. So don't react, just respond to what somebody says or what they're doing to you after you've taken time to take a step back from that situation. Don't just go jumping guns blazing and just thinking everything's going to be resolved. Because yeah, you might win this argument. The other person might back down and might not want to have anything to do with it. And now your blood pressure's up, your eyes are red. And if your child is in the vicinity when this is going on, they're looking at this whole thing, and guess what they're picking up? They're picking up that I can get into an argument or a yelling match and it's okay. That's not what we want to do. You want to make sure you have an environment for those children that they can grow up and they can prosper in, and they can see a loving environment. You might not love that person anymore. You might not like that person anymore, but you can agree to disagree, and you can conduct this like in a business-like fashion to make sure you get your point across without getting into the yelling and the fighting. Find another way to resolve your issues. I don't care if you have to send an email or a text. I don't care if you send it by pigeon, snail mail, whatever you got to do. But don't do it in front of the children. Because at the end of the day, the focus should be on them and not you. That's all I have for you. Stay safe and be blessed.